Life is real. Struggles are real. But so is hope.
And today we're bringing you truth, encouragement, and faith that actually works in everyday life.
Welcome to the Freedom Fellowship Podcast. I'm Chris Stewart.
And I'm Jeff Parsons.
And this is where faith meets real life. So don't go anywhere.
Get ready.
Let's grow together. Welcome to another episode of Freedom Fellowship Podcast.
It is March 13th.
No, it's May.
You go outside and tell me it's May.
It feels like March 13th, but it is May 13th. Yeah, I had to wear a jacket to do this today. Oh, but we welcome you, and we are glad that you are with us. And you are here with Chris and Jeff from Freedom Fellowship Church, and we're here with another episode of the podcast. So we hope you've been enjoying them, and
I hope they get uploaded.
They will. They will.
We're baking something, so we're not missing a week. So.
Yep. We're getting it taken care of, buddy. Getting it taken care of.
Don't forget, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, however you're watching this, comment, subscribe, push the bell. So whenever it does go live, then you'll know, because I have no idea. I just show up whenever Chris says and talk, and then that's all I know.
Yeah, it helps the algorithm, and the more you do that, the more audience that we get, and we really appreciate it very, very much. You can also send your comments there on the YouTube channel. You can comment right there with it, and let us know what you like, what you don't like. Can't do it.
Just what you like.
Oh, okay. If you don't like your host, there's nothing I can do about that. You're stuck with us. But
any suggestions about topics or whatever?
Oh yeah, definitely. Any suggestions that you have, things you'd like for us to talk about, scriptures you want us to dig into, or topics, or if you've got an idea, if you've seen a video or a reel that you really thought was great, and you want us to see it and see what we think about it, just forward it to us. Let us know, and we'll look at it, won't we?
Sure.
Especially he will.
Do what I'm told.
If it's about wrestling, he will do it.
I'm going to say, if y'all don't want to comment and bring up topics, I can talk hours on wrestling and wrestling figures and action figures and all kinds of stuff. So,
and not only can he does.
So if I get to the point, I will do that. Trust me.
Yep. So, since it is the 15th day of May.
It's the 13th.
13th day.
We haven't been doing this for 2 days.
Okay, yes, 13th day of May. Then that means that 2 days ago was a very important day for us.
Yes, it was. What day was that, Chris?
Well, it was May the 11th.
Oh, yeah.
May the 11th was the 20th anniversary of the Freedom Fellowship Church.
Before you start that, sorry. I told him that's what we're going to talk about. Then I stopped him. But the next day was May 12th. That was my 25th wedding anniversary. So if she watches this, I better say hi, love you. Thank you for 25 years.
So are you saying that 20 years ago when we started, the day after was your 25th anniversary?
No, you said the other day was May 11th.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you just celebrated your 25th anniversary yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
And if I knew where the sound effects were here, I would have the applause. And the crowd goes wild and all that stuff. One of these days, maybe next week.
Well, maybe. Or we're saying next week we might film an episode after this, so don't expect it in the next episode. And they might come shuffled, so one might have sound effects, and then you'll hear this conversation on the next episode. But just
hey, we're just getting started, so we're just figuring this stuff out.
And I forgot my hat, so I got my other hat, and yes, there is a piece of black tape over it.
I just seen that.
I figured to put the because my parents love me, and I love, y'all seen it in other episodes, I hope, of the Indians hat that I wear. And so for Christmas, they went to Target, I think, and saw this hat and thought, hey, that looks like that other hat. The only issue is it has Guardians under this tape, and I refuse to wear something that says Guardians. So I put black tape over it. And my hat looks somewhat the same for the video. So,
Yep.
yes, I am strange. But they changed the name up there from Jacobs Field to Progressive Field 18 years ago. No, in 07, whenever that was. And I still call it the Jake. So I'm not good with change.
19 years.
There you go. 19 years. I'm not good with change. So
He's not.
speaking of which, I had a change 20 years ago on May 11th. Explain that, Chris. See, Segway King right there.
Yeah, there you go. May the 11th of 2006 is when we organized or had our first meeting as a church. And that's what happened on that date. We had a Thursday night service in my basement. And then we came back the next week and had another Thursday night service, and we have been having Thursday night services ever since. Within a few weeks, we were having Sunday morning services, but we were having those at the elementary school in Liberty Elementary there in Caledonia. And they were wonderful to us, absolutely wonderful to us. Matter of fact, the janitor that was there most of the time, that opened the door, made sure we had everything, he would, because every week we would have to go in and set everything up all over again, just, afresh, every day, every week. After we figured out where we wanted everything, we would show up and everything would already be set up, because the janitor would get there early enough to set everything up for us.
And it was probably 100 chairs.
Yeah.
It was if y'all seen the newer schools, the cafeteria, they cleared that out and put chairs. It was full of chairs.
Yes. And moved the podium out. They let us use their podium, let us use their PA system. And they were phenomenal to us. That janitor just passed away about a month ago, Jack Stidham. And he was wonderful, was a great guy, and he took care of us. And now that he's passed, I can say this because he made me promise that I wouldn't. I went into the school because we had failed to receive a bill from them for renting the cafeteria, and I went in and inquired, and they told me that the bill had been paid, and I went back the following week when I seen him when we were setting up, and I mentioned it to him, and he said, I don't want you to say anything about that. And I said, well, but do you know who did? He said, I don't want anything said about this. That's my contribution to the church. And so we met there for 2 years. And in all of that time, we only paid for one month.
Wow.
1 month. And everything else he took care of and said, keep that a secret. I don't want anybody to know, which was, great. It's biblical. He wanted to keep his left hand from knowing what his right hand was doing. If you're going to do great things, you don't have to broadcast it. And he was wonderful to us. And So we had service there for about 2 years before we were able to purchase the property where we're at now.
Before you get to purchasing the property where we're at now, maybe you was about to head here, but I haven't said anything in like a minute, so I want to talk. What made you want to start a church, and why in Caledonia?
Well, I had reached let me back up. When I graduated high school,
Wow, we went way back, like 50 years.
when I graduated high school, I still carried a burden for a lot of those people that I was in school with, and still prayed for them, and would run into them every now and then. And when I would run into one or two, that burden would get stronger and stronger. And in the ministry, I had reached a point that I was discontent, and I was struggling to figure out what it was that God wanted me to do and where I should be. And about that time, I'm in prayer and trying to figure out what to do, and that burden gets stronger and stronger, and the Lord says, I want you to go ahead. It's time. I want you to go ahead and start a church, and I want it there in the Caledonia area. And he just whispered, that's the reason I gave you that burden, and that's where it should be. So we started in my basement, and to bring that full circle, there was one particular individual that I went to high school with, and I got to tell him this here just a few weeks ago. There was an individual named Brett that I went to high school with, and Brett was he was one of those guys. He was always in trouble, but he was one of those kind of people that he was such a nice guy and so kind and got along with everybody that even though he was always in trouble, he was always well liked. And he was also the one that had persecuted me the most when in 6th grade, when I go back into school and tell them that I got saved and that I'm a Christian now, and all the kids are, I'm excited. I'm telling everybody. I thought everybody knew what those things were, and got there and they didn't know what being saved was, and because I made a big deal about it, they did too. But they made it in a bigger deal, a negative thing instead of a positive thing. And Brett was the one that called me the most names and poked at me the most. But he was also the one that secretly would come to me and talk to me and share his problems and what he was dealing with and ask for prayer and confide in me secretly, and I kept those things private. And he was the one that every time I would pray, I would see Brett's face. And him and his best friend, Steve. And that was 100% the reason why that God moved and said, I want you to put a church over there. And so just 2 weeks ago, Brett has moved away, lives in Kentucky, and we got to FaceTime the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I finally got to tell him, face to face, that the reason that there's a Freedom Fellowship Church is directly related to him. And now, he follows, he watches on he watches our live. Always, he has for a long time. Sends me messages about the sermons, and tells me, man, I really enjoy it. You're really passionate. You can tell you're really passionate which is code for you get really excited. And in high school, he had a nickname for me. He always called me Stork, a play on my last name. So now he still has a nickname for me, but he calls me Pastor Stork. And he said, Pastor Stork, just keep doing what you're doing because, man, I really like it and I really enjoy it. And then I got to say, well, Brett, the reason that church is there is because of you, because of that burden. And, one of these days he's going to walk in the door. This past fall, he came, but he came early and didn't realize that we had changed our times because we have to update that on our website, by the way, and our Facebook page. We have to update that. But we moved our start time to 10:30, and because he got there early and we started later, he thought we weren't having service, so he left. But he will be back. He said he will be back. But to go on with the story, when I got that burden, I let you know that, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. I did not ask anybody to come do this.
Nope. We were not told, but informed that he was having a meeting on a Thursday in his basement. Not a church meeting, just this is what I'm doing, this is what to expect.
Yep.
And some people stayed and some people didn't afterwards.
And we had service. And I never went to recruit anybody.
If he did, would he have recruited me, people? Come on.
But so from the very first meeting, Jeff, you were there and your family, and your dad, your mom, and so we've been doing that. Brother Randy Nichols was there. He was the first assistant pastor, and I told Randy what I was going to do. Randy said, I've had the same burden. I was going to do something, myself, so why don't we go together? And so we kind of worked together that way for a little while, and he was there, just about a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. And then he moved on, and then
He went to a different church. He didn't die.
Yeah, he didn't pass on. He went on to a different work. And you became the assistant. And then one day, we began to pray. We were already praying. We needed to have a permanent home. Because as much as everybody loved coming to my basement on Thursdays, my family was,
Burdened.
Yeah. Yeah. When are we going to stop having, service, at the house all the time?
Because we had visitors come, we had food. Chris's family didn't make all the food, but we had food afterwards, and
Yep.
so they were intruded upon.
It was great fellowship, and it was very, very enjoyable. But every Thursday night, when you have people staying at the house until 11:30, sometimes 12,
Kids
1
have
o'clock,
school.
it does start taking a toll. And we thought we found a couple different places, looked at some churches, and I wanted to be, and I told everybody where I was at, I wanted to be careful to not just jump at the first thing that opened up, and really go where God wanted us to be. Also, and to not put ourselves into a situation that we couldn't grow any. One of the big things was parking. You could find church buildings, and the building would be in pretty good shape, but they had enough space to park 6 cars.
Yeah, that's what Randy's church was like in downtown Marion. You had to park at Speedway, walk half a block, or
Yeah.
three blocks and get there.
Yeah,
But
and there's a reason the churches were for sale, is because they couldn't sustain it because they didn't have anywhere to park. And so we went and looked at several and was trying to figure out what we were going to do. And one day my mother-in-law calls me. Actually, no, she gets to church on Sunday morning and says, hey, on my way here, I drove past a place that just went up for sale on 309, and it's got a building there, and I felt like maybe that there was something there. I felt the Lord. And so I was stopped by, immediately. We went and looked and seen what was there, and, made some phone calls, and we began to pray about it. And make a long story short,
too late.
we were getting ready to head out to church camp. We were going to be gone for a week. But the first thing, there was a building there, it was a barn. And they were living in half this barn, and then they had the rest as a barn. The
smaller half, they were living in the smaller part.
Yeah.
And the big part was huge barn.
Yeah, big
garage.
Barn. And they had put in a septic system, and they had put in a well, and they had connected it to that barn with the intent to build a house on more of the property. And then he got hurt and was going to move back to Kentucky, where he came from. And so the first obstacle that we really needed to find out about it was, will the EPA give us permission to use that septic system and that well for a commercial building? And so we had to go through that process. We had to get a hold of the EPA. The EPA had to come out. They had to test, and and we were at church camp when the message came that they cleared us to use that. And I remember sitting on the porch of that little house where we had our first church camp at, and we got that word that we could use it. And so that meant now we could get serious and make an offer on this. And we made an offer, and the Lord blessed us to buy 10 acres and have that building. We bought that in October. We got possession of it in October and immediately started working on it.
Yep.
And we had our first service in it in March, the third Sunday in March.
And he skipped over the part where it was the worst housing.
Yes, this is 2008.
Yeah.
When the housing market crashed, and it was incredibly hard to get loans, and the price of everything was skyrocketing. And God said, "It's nothing for me. Here, let me bless you."
Yep.
And he did. Man, did he.
We've had concerts out there. We've had the Crab Family Revival out there. That's a big concert. We had flea markets. We had fairs. We had all kinds of stuff because there's lots of land out there.
Yes. Yeah, we don't have lots of buildings and lots of, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't have a lot of
indoor area.
Yeah, but we have outdoor area. So we try to use the outdoor area as much as we can to benefit our facilities are not there, but we have the land. So we try to use that for our advantage. And so we worked and we worked and we've worked for years. We've worked on the inside of it. And just about got it where we want it, and now we're able to start moving to the outside to start remodeling the outside. And we have a steeple that was donated to us, and praise the Lord, sometime this summer that steeple should be going up, and will make us look more like a church on the outside. But it's just been a absolute joy, this adventure that we've had.
Yes, we only have a few minutes left, so we might have a part 2 of this because there's a lot more stuff to go. But it's just amazing to see God work and what He gave us. And our neighbor has a pond, so whenever we have baptizing, they let us use their pond. And
fantastic neighbors.
Yes.
Yes. Give a shout out to them. Chris Leibengood and his wife, they have been wonderful to us, even to the point that we don't have to worry about somebody plowing the driveway or the parking lot. He's got a tractor, and he just says, hey, I'm going to do mine. I'll just do your guys's too. And you ask him, how much do you want for it? No, I was doing it anyway. I'll at no charge. He is a fantastic guy, and we have been blessed.
In the last few years, he's been spraying stuff to kill dandelions.
Yep. They were worried when we first moved in, as a church, because, they had a motocross track that they had built there, and they would ride their ATVs and motorcycles and such, and they were really worried that we were going to be, the grouchy church people that, got after them if they made too much noise. And, we went out when we first met them, said, look, the only problem that we have with you guys doing that on Sunday is it's Sunday and we're busy and we can't come do it with you.
Have fun too, yeah.
So, it didn't bother us any, and so when they seen that we weren't going to be those kind of neighbors, then they have been extremely good to us.
It's no different than, I'm sure, in the background in this. You'll hear trains, because I heard it through the headphone. There's churches in town that you can hear people drive by on the road, so them playing on their four-wheelers or dirt bikes, no different. So,
well, the church that we grew up in as kids
was right by the tracks.
Was literally across the street from the tracks, and there's a crossing right here. So as they're going past the church is when they're blowing their horn, and when you're in there and somebody is preaching or whatever, there would be moments that you just lost everything sound-wise inside, because all you could hear was the train, and the entire building went. So that was no big deal to us to hear a motorcycle outside. But God has been truly good to us there. But yeah, you're right. We're probably going to have to continue with another episode, because there's still more to go, because we've only got to year 2.
In the last minute, want me to read the verse that you set this church upon?
Yes.
That's Luke 9:2, correct?
Yes.
And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. That is the verse that our church was built upon. That is what was in Chris's head. So that's what we're meant to do. Go out and tell the world and heal the sick. And preachers aren't the only one that preaches. Anybody can go out there and reach people.
Amen.
So there's that.
Well, we thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to you joining us the next time on Freedom Fellowship Podcast with Chris
and Jeff.
Thanks for watching.
Remember, there is hope.
And it's found in Jesus.
See you next time.